New at 5, a Bay Area waterway is the focus of a bureaucratic tug of war. The feds want Novato Creek to be considered a fish habitat to support the native steelhead trout. But the local water district tells KPIX 5 reporter Emily Turner that there's one big problem with that plan. Emily?
Yeah, essentially fish can't live out of water. The Novato Creek runs into Stafford Lake and out of Stafford Lake. You can see just how low the reservoir levels are right now, and I can tell you in the creek it is even worse, and certainly biologists say not sufficient for a fish habitat. When it comes to fish habitat, Novato Creek is missing the most important component: water.
And you don't need to be a biologist to realize that it would be very difficult for a fish to survive in this type of environment.
But that's not what a 2015 study says from the National Marine Fisheries. It says this creek should be able to sustain about 1,100 endangered steelhead trout, officially making the creek a recovery habitat. That means any work the North Marin Water District wants to do on that part of the creek is under scrutiny by the feds and could require additional studies and work, which could be costly, Drew McIntyre says, and unnecessary.
We're not against doing anything to protect the fish, but we don't want to build a bridge to nowhere. We don't want to study a fish passage that would land the fish on dry ground.
The Water District says the problem with this plan is that when the study was done, there weren't enough people with the National Marine Fisheries Service to really look at all of these watersheds. So now they want the feds to revisit it and to look at the studies they've done as well as the obvious. That's why the district spent $50,000 of its own money doing its own research during wet and dry years, coming up with the same result. Steelhead in Upper Novato Creek aren't sustainable. Now they're just waiting to pass that information along.
We've taken it that extra step to give them more detailed information to better assess the viability of what their initial recommendation was. And that could help save the water district with any future requirements when we have a project at Stafford Dam.
We did reach out to the National Marine Fisheries Service. We finally got a call back from them just before we went to air, so I didn't get a chance to talk to them to hear what they had to say. But the study itself does say that further investigation was needed, which is exactly what the Water District has done. However, it's interesting to note that study is not just for Novato Creek. It is for any tributary that ends up in San Francisco Bay. So you can imagine how many other creeks or streams might be in this same situation. Reporting live in Novato, Emily Turner, KPIX 5.